Ever found that perfect flight deal only to realize it's not from the city you're in? Well, that's where positioning flights comes in. Savvy travelers use positioning flights to unlock huge savings, access better award redemptions, and fly premium cabins for much less. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about positioning flights, including what they are, why they matter, safe ways to book them, and some examples to make them work for you. Let's dive into positioning flights. So what exactly is a positioning flight? A positioning flight is a separate flight you usually book from your home airport to get yourself to a major airport that often has cheaper international deals. This can often save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars in cash and better usage for points and miles. So here's why positioning flights matter. Most of the time, the best deals are only from major international hubs. By booking a cheap domestic flight to that hub, you can save a ton of money. And they're especially useful if you're booking a mistake fare, business or first class flight, or want to really optimize using your points and miles. I'm going to show you some real life examples just so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, I'm going to walk you through a couple examples to get you started here. So the first one we're going to look at is going to be from a smaller airport, Boise, and I'd like to get to Tahiti. Historically very expensive to get from Boise to Tahiti, French Polynesia, but we'll start by having a look how most people start to try to book these flights. So first thing we want to do is just see what it costs if we try to book it directly from Boise to Tahiti and see what Google Flights gives us here. We'll type in PPT for Tahiti Airport and round trip economy. If I hit search, I can pull up the calendar and I already see some pretty expensive flights here. I am focused on going in February and I know I want to travel on the 3rd to the 10th. If I select that and hit search, I will see what populates here. Looks like it's about $1,100 with a stop in LAX. I'm not interested in flying Air Tahiti Nui. I'd want to fly a different airline, possibly United if possible. If I filter Star Alliance, I can see what the pricing is here on United. Very expensive here. We're looking at over $1,500 round trip from Boise to Tahiti. Let's see what we can do by using positioning flights. So looking at this connection here, it looks like there's one stop in San Francisco in both directions. And that grand total's $1,528. So I would like to do much better than that. It seems a little expensive and I do want to fly United. So the non-stop from San Francisco, let's see if we can try to make that cheap and stitch this together, see what positioning flights will do for us here. So if I type in San Francisco and I filter for this non-stop flight only, on the same exact day, I'm looking at $630 round trip. I'll click on that to just make sure that's the price here. $630 round trip, non-stop San Francisco. Okay. I believe I can get from Boise to San Francisco pretty cheaply, a lot better than $1,500 round trip with that additional segment there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on Boise to San Francisco. This is where you utilize booking that cheap domestic flight and really capitalizing on that cheap international fare out of that larger hub, San Francisco. So on the same dates, I can get from Boise to San Francisco. On this morning flight I need to fly home in the afternoon, and I could book two separate flights. This one in particular is $197 plus that last fare we saw in the 600s. I could do this whole thing round trip for less than $900, about $830 round trip here by booking that positioning flight, getting to San Francisco, and then booking that cheaper international fare there. This is an interesting one. It's the same exact flights, it's just broken up separately into a positioning flight here. Pretty cool example to start off with a cash fare here. Next example I want to show you is really where a lot of Thrifty Traveler team uses positioning flights. I encourage you to get used to this too. So for example, if you are a Thrifty Traveler premium member and you get a great email about a business class flight to Milan, you're very interested. Maybe you don't live in New York City, but let's take a look here. New York to Milan. This is Emirates business class. You can see the bar in the back that you can hang out in. And if I scroll down, I see some dates that work for me. Okay, so maybe this is New York to Milan on March 10th. And being that I live in Miami, I'm going to have to get to New York. So if I go let's March 10th here, and I type that into Google Flights, Miami to New York, March 10th, I can jump on whatever flight I need here preferably giving me enough time in JFK for this connection here, and it's only $74. So a great option here to get you to that larger airport, to take advantage of that cheaper business or first class flight, whether it's a cash deal or a points and miles redemption. Positioning flights are really the key to get ahead here and book some of these really cheap international deals here. So I do want to walk you through a few things regarding positioning flights. You know, I would very, very highly recommend giving yourself plenty of time, 4, 5, 6 hours between flights. If your first flight's delayed, you really don't want to miss that second flight. Positioning flights, like we just talked about, are separate flight bookings, so they're not linked itineraries. So if one flight is delayed, you're really not protected on that next flight. Really highly encourage you to book flexible travel. If one of your flights moves or gets changed, or you do need to cancel one of your flights, highly encourage you book main cabin or above on these domestic flights here, and then use a credit card too with some travel protections here. And the main thing to keep in mind as a precaution for positioning flights is don't check a bag. If you do check a bag, give yourself plenty of time to gather that checked bag and recheck it. You're booking separate positioning flights, they won't automatically check through to that following flight. Highly just recommend bringing just a carry-on if possible. That way you're going to set yourself up for some pretty smooth travel using positioning flights. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Cheers to cheap flights.